Hello, nature lovers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Environmental Systems and Societies. Today's is all about biodiversity, and we're going to look at how much biodiversity is there in the world, background extinction rates, mass extinctions, and a little bit about the geologic timescale. All right, so how much biodiversity is there? Well, we don't really know. And the reason we don't know is we don't really even know how many species are on the planet. We don't know how many have gone extinct, and we don't know how many existed ever throughout time. We have estimates, though, and the current estimate, well, let me put it this way. The named amount of species on this planet is about 1.5 billion species. But there's estimates up to 100 million species. So 98 million we don't know. So why don't we know this? Well, it's easy to see the large stuff like elephants, but it's really tough to see the small stuff like bacteria and fungus. Plants are easy to locate because they don't move, but animals like small insects do move. So most mammals and plants are known, and big animals, birds are known, but not the little stuff. Okay, so when we look at this, though, we've got the beetles. Not the beetles, but we have beetles. They make up the largest group that we know about. Of the beetles, they make up 25% of all insects. Insects are the largest, most biodiverse group we know about. It's about 10 million. So we know about 2 million beetles, right? So this number, though, is always changing. Either species evolve into new species or they go extinct. And extinction, is not an unnatural process. And maybe I should define it. Extinction is when a species ceases to exist after the last one dies. This happens naturally because they can't adapt to changes in the world. But it varies how long a species will live. And on average, a species lives 1 million years, is what we think. But arthropods can live up to 10 million years, as a species. So there's a rate that we use called a background extinction rate, and this rate is an estimate of how long a species should, or how many species should go extinct per year. So this passenger pigeon went before its time. We expect it to be one species per million per year. So if there's 100 million species, we would expect 100 species to go extinct this year. We get this from the fossil record. It's not a precise measurement, but it's a ballpark to go with. And we can figure this out for different types of animals, like mammals. We expect mammals to go extinct one every 200 years. So in the last 400 years, we'd expect 2. In fact, 90 have gone extinct in the last 400 years, and 169 other ones are about to go extinct, way past the background extinction rate. That was E.O. Wilson, and he's a Harvard ecologist. He estimates that our extinction rate is 1,000 times greater than the background extinction rate. He thinks this is caused by humans because we've messed up the nutrient cycle, habitats, and made changes to ecosystem flow. So that takes something like this, like a coral reef, which is called a hotspot. I'm going to explain that in a second. Currently, we're losing about 3 species per hour. Okay, it's not spread evenly over the world. It's spread in hotspots, and hotspots are places where we have a higher rate of extinction than others. And part of that is because there's usually more diversity there. So when it's destroyed, it causes more damage. So a rainforest is being mowed down for agriculture. Coral reefs, the ocean temperatures are going up, and that has this effect of actually killing the coral reef. Instead of being beautiful like I just showed you, it becomes bleached like this, and that eventually ends up killing the whole ecosystem, which wipes out a lot of biodiversity. Now, sometimes this is a normal process. There have been periods in the past where the background extinction rate is much higher than it is now, and we call those extinction events. There have been 5 recorded extinction events according to the fossil record. We think that those were due to climate, really abiotic factors changing, and the organisms couldn't adapt quickly enough to those changing abiotic factors. So the bad news is right now we think we're in a 6th extinction event, and they call it the Holocene extinction event. It started about 10,000 years ago, and it really started with humans and started with hunting. So woolly mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, they were hunted to extinction, which is bad, but manageable. In the last 100 years, though, this extinction rate has skyrocketed to the numbers I was telling you about earlier, to 1,000 times more than what it should be. Okay? So, kind of to understand all this, I'd like to take a second to talk about geologic timescale. The Earth formed about 4.5 billion years ago. First life started about 500 million years after that. It's called archaeobacteria. 65 million years ago, dinosaurs died, and only 200,000 years ago did humans, or what's close to modern humans, pop onto the scene. If you put it as a clock, that's about 10 seconds ago. So 65 million years ago, the Cretaceous Tertiary extinction event occurred. It's the most famous because this is what killed the dinosaurs. They think that what killed them was giant climate change caused by a big meteor impact in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay? And there's, what it did is it threw up a bunch of dust in the atmosphere and it blocked out the sun, so photosynthesis couldn't happen very much. Productivity plummeted. As you guys know, predators are, and kind of the higher up trophic levels are susceptible to the lower ones, so it started to wipe them out. At the same time in India, volcanoes started erupting like crazy for 1 million years, which sounds like a long time, but in the span of things, it's not that long. But for 1 million years, spew it up, and those added to that whole albedo effect. More sunlight was reflected, less photosynthesis happened, productivity plummeted. Okay? That was bad. That killed almost every major land animal and every major sea animal. But now in the Holocene event, rates are even higher than that. It's and the difference is this is a result of human activity. Okay? There are some species that actually do well with this. We got rats, we got dogs, we got corn, we got cattle, and we call them weedy species. But here's something to think about. Are we a weedy species, or are we one of the ones that are going to go extinct? That's really up for debate. Okay? Now, all these past extinction events were caused by abiotic factors changing, and this one, the Holocene, is the first one caused by biotic factors changing. What biotic factors? Here's the 4, and you should know these. We've transformed the environment. I showed you that in the agriculture video. We've overexploited species, hunting and fishing and so forth. We've introduced invasive species, and of course, pollution. That's another big element to causing extinctions right now. So you put all this together and we've got a real problem. The World Wildlife Fund produced a report. They've estimated that 30% of known species have gone extinct in the last 30 years. A third of all species. Okay? So I hope you understand these key points that we went over today. How much biodiversity is in the world, why we don't know better numbers, background extinction rate, what mass extinctions are, and a little bit about the geologic timescale. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, peace out, homie. Pterodactyl.